we can go. I'm going to start the stream. Oh. My glasses are filthy. Hello. If you're watching, we've come in a little early to let you guys come in. You may not see this. You may see a blank screen. You'll just see me in my craft room for now. So if you come in, you can start chatting. Amanda's in the chat already. She has a microphone. I have a microphone. We'll be able to talk to each other today. And we're just going to let you guys come in a little early and make sure all your technology is working and everything's like it needs to be. So we will start at 10. Just wanted to let you know that. Okay. So how many do we have today?
13, I believe.
Lucky number 13. All right, I'm going to the restroom. You might want to type to say you're in there.
Okay. 14 today.
You know, the post office that you scanned the one sheet, they loved it.
We had 14 sign up for today.
I've noticed that nobody's in yet.
I see one has come in.
Okay.
I don't know who, but it just says somebody's watching.
Note to self, don't get up and walk out during this thing because I see your booty in the camera.
I was.
Don't say anything that can't be on here because we're live. But it's private.
Okay. Signing up for the class. Will they have access to the class again later?
Okay.
Just wanted to double.
I should also say while we're live, this first 15 minutes, if you're going to watch this later, just skip this part because you can scan through it. But this is just one of those kind of necessary evils. We have to have this kind of time for people to come in. So if you're going to watch later, just skip on through. I'm trying to decide. We're going to classically teach this thing. This camera in my face is like.
This microphone in my face is like, move. You make me feel claustrophobic.
I get in the habit of doing this. Like leaning on it.
I've got a cough drop in, so I'm not eating candy and being rude.
You're still being rude because you're making noise with your mouth, and that's not acceptable.
I know, I'm trying not to.
Amanda should never make noise with her mouth.
What she thinks.
You know what I really want? I want that planner off my desk. Would you be so... Well, they'll have to see your booty. No, they won't see your booty much. If I get up, it's all booty. It's like...
I don't care.
Amanda's like, that's my booty and I'm proud of it.
Which one? The black one?
No, one of the new ones. I want to look at it.
The new ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. The first few minutes are just going to be like this for you guys to come on in. But again, if you're going to watch this back, just skip this part. Just scroll right on through it. You can do that. That's the beauty of a fast forward button. Somebody's sleepy. I wonder who that is.
I didn't want to get up this morning. If I thought I could have called out, I would have called out.
That's good to know. If I could have come up with a good excuse. I've been watching that.
But I didn't. That's all that counts.
That's true. I've been watching that time blocking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. And there's this video, which I'm going to show everybody. It's called how to get up at 5 a.m. even if you don't want to. Like to make this part of your routine. Because you can. Do you realize this? Think about this. If you got up at 5 a.m. and didn't have to be at work till 8, that's 3 hours of uninterrupted stuff you could get done.
That's 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep you could have got done.
But think about this. Like, you know how when you get home, everything's interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching, and there's this girl. Here's what she did. She does the 5-second. It's called the 5-second rule. And there's a book about it. And she was talking about the 5-second rule. And she said, what you do is your alarm goes off. And instead of snoozing it, matter of fact, they say put your phone to bed in another room. In another room. Set your alarm in another room. And then you go, when it goes off, you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And for some reason, when you get to 1, you really do want to do something. Like in your brain, you may not want to get up terribly. But she's made herself be a 5 a.m. getter upper doing that. I like the idea of having a lot of time in the morning. Because I'm slow in the morning. All right, I'm getting nervous. It's almost... Oh! Is anybody watching?
Yeah, somebody is.
Okay. We are going to want to do a roll call, too. We're going to want to make sure everybody got here. Because that, if you didn't get here, we want to make sure what's going on. Here I go again. And after I got these, she says these are not the best way to go. She said, unless you just love pen and paper, she's like, the best way to go is your digital planner. So these may be available on the store. I love it. I really do. But I'm gonna show everybody that video and see. I think if not your personal life, for work, it would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I saw 5 are watching. So we're 2 of those 5. Oh, Jordan's 3. Because I've got him watching out there to check volumes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
If you are struggling to find the chat, it should be to the right-hand side of your screen. Chat. Your chat is on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you're in your account, if you've signed into your account on YouTube, you will be able to chat, and that's what you want to do because you want to be able to say something to us. So please type something in and say good morning when you come in, so we can see you, or whatever time of day it is for you. It might be afternoon, 10 o'clock for us. Let's see, 10 o'clock for us is 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock for Gareth.
Is it? I was talking to him a few minutes ago.
It's mid-afternoon for him. That's so wild to think.
The one I have a hard time with is the ones that's a whole different day.
Australia.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrea. You are in the right place. You sure are. This is where we'll be doing our class today. Can you see me?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check off Andrea.
So we've got you in the roll call. She's checking you off. How are you today? And you should make sure you have a way to see or hear me and get to Cricut Design Space. That's what you need to do. A way to see or hear me. Probably the best thing to do is to maybe have me on your phone or your iPad or something where you can talk, where you can chat to us there, and be able to work your computer itself. Be able to work on your computer. Hi, Mary Evans. How are you? Welcome in. This is so hard to do, isn't it? This technology stuff is so hard to get comfortable with. But once you do, it's all right. I'm excited you're here too, Andrea. Good. You can see me. All right. Do you have access to your Cricut design space? Because you're going to want to, you may just want to watch this one. This is not a project. We don't make a project today. So it could just be a watch and ask questions video, which is fine. But if you want to kind of play around on design space while we're going, you're going to want to be able to get to both things. But you totally could just watch this one. We do have some stuff we want to talk to y'all about for future classes. That you might want to take that are more project-based. I'm glad you're here too, Mary. That's awesome. We got 2 folks. You got them on the roll call already.
I do. I do see that I'm running just a few seconds behind you, but not much.
There's going to be
You're
a
saying
lag.
hi to them just seconds before I see they come in.
Okay, G-Ma Mary, I bet that's Grandma Mary 47, is here. Mary, what is the name do you already know?
Probably Marianne. Is that correct?
Let us know the name you signed up under so we can check you off a roll. Let's see as people are coming in.
Oh, and you're welcome, by the way.
Am I way too in the camera? I'm very orange. I didn't put on my orange makeup today, but I'm very orange. I feel like I'm like way in the camera. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why I'm so sleepy.
It's a rainy day.
Decaf. I had decaf today. Decaf and now my water. Go ahead as you come in and type and make sure you can chat with us too. That's going to be real important that you can chat with us. For future classes, when you come in, we're going to kind of do it just like this. When we have future classes, we'll start the live 15 minutes early so everybody can come in and get comfy before the class starts. So if you guys are going to take any future classes, you'll kind of, you're learning the process. This is how it works. Are you checking your email at the same time just in case? You might have some people struggling. There's 9 of us in the room now. So if you're here, say hello. We're doing a little roll call so we can mark everybody off. We've got 3 students so far. My office is so clean. I'm looking at it like I just want to create. Clean office makes you want to create. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
It does. It makes me want to make something. It makes me want to make a mess.
I was tempted to pull all my chalk couture back out last night, but then I was like, I don't have all the Christmas stuff off my table yet. Let me get the table clean and then I can mess it up again. That's my project this weekend.
I'm ready
Put everything away.
I'm ready to do some more chalk couture videos. I want to do one with that new transfer.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody do it and they used the flowers real heavy on the project.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty. Did you see that?
I did. I ordered a little stand thing to hold my phone that's adjustable and has a little light on it. It's supposed to be in
the one with the light that's separate, like the
It's like a round.
and it's
like
separate.
$20
So you can,
bucks.
yeah, I've seen that.
I ordered it.
saw
It's supposed to be here today.
I thought about getting one of those myself. I don't need one more stand, but it's a habit. All right, we got 9 out of our 14 in the room. That's pretty good. It's 10 o'clock. Who's our 9th person? Let us know who's here. I've talked to, let's see, I've got Mary and Andrea, and we're assuming that's Mary. Did she say for sure?
She didn't say, but I have Mary Evans and then I have Mary Ann, so it's got to be. That's the only 2
Okay.
Marys on my list. But that's the only 3 I've marked off out of 9 watching. So 6, not counting us. I've got 3 more that I don't know who they are.
Is the chat not working? Because are you saying what I'm saying?
I started and then when I saw you was, hi Deb. I've got you marked off.
Hey, Deb. Thank you very much. Anybody emailing saying they're struggling?
Not so far.
All right, we still have a few more that haven't told us who they are, or, so we can mark you off the roll. If you don't tell us, we can't mark out the roll, and then we're going to be looking for you. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that all day. And I want to get started, but I don't want to start without people in the room. And with this being our first one, I may take a tiny second longer than all right, number 10 has come in the room. Be sure if you've just come in to say hello. Yay, Deb, I'm excited too. Be sure to say hello and let us know who you are so we can mark you off the roll. And then we'll get started. Hear that clock? That's what's it'll make you sleepy. Listen to a ticking clock, won't it?
It will. I hear that.
It reminds me when I was at my grandmother's when I was little. You could hear a clock all over the house because there was no technology. So nothing drowned out the clock, We're going to start in 3 minutes if everybody doesn't get here before. So we got 10 watching right now. Hey, Kathy. And Crafty Dream Studio. Do you know who that is? You need me to ask?
I don't know who that
Crafty
is.
Dreams, what's the name you signed up under? So we can, just your first name's all she needs, I think. Is that all you need, first
That's
name?
all I need.
Just first name so we can check you off there. So that's 10 folks. Now, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you guys heard, make sure you have a way to see my screen and a way to chat with us. Oh, it's Molly. Hey, Molly. I never even put that together. And a way to chat with us. And if you want to play along on Design Space, you're going to need to have your computer where you can do that and still hear us. So you might want to have us on your phone or an iPad or a tablet. But you also want to be able to talk to us because you want to ask questions. The other thing that you might want to do is just watch this one. You really don't have to play along on your Cricut because this is Design Space 101. I'm going to be doing kind of the clicking and stuff, so you really don't have to use your computer for that. But if you want to, you can.
And as long as you have this link, you have access to come back in and rewatch anytime.
You can watch this. It's unlisted, which means you're not going to be able to search it on YouTube. You'll have to have the link to go find it, okay? The other thing I want to tell you is this. Anytime throughout the whole class today, if you have a question, here's what we ask you to do. Type the number 1. Just type 1. That means you have a question. And then what I'll do is I'll either slow down or I will know when I finish that statement, there's a question. So once you type the number 1 and hit enter, we know you're then typing a question, okay? And I may reiterate that a couple times as we get started early, but that lets Amanda know there's a question and we need to be mindful of it. Ask all questions. I want you to hear something. The more you ask, the more you and everyone else learns. Questions help us grow. All right, they are not bad, and I know you've heard there's no stupid questions. There literally are no questions that are off limits. Well, some questions are off limits, like don't ask me what I weigh, because I ain't telling you. But that question's off limits. Everything else you can ask. We do want to keep it on Cricut topic, okay? If you have questions outside of that, feel free to email Amanda if something pops up and you want to ask us. If you're like, hey, I got a class idea or I've got this or that or the other. And at the end of the session, we'll take all questions that weren't related to what we were doing at the time, if that makes sense. All right, it's 5 after. There are 11 people in the room. Be sure to tell us who you are so we can mark you off as being here. And then those who aren't here, we can contact and say what happened and what can we do to make your experience better. All right, the first thing I want to do is tell you what today's class is going to entail. There's Sylvia. Yay, chat, it's working for you now. Awesome. We are going to do the basics of Design Space, which sounds like you're not going to learn a lot, but I feel like you're going to learn a lot today. You might want to keep a notepad handy. You might want to be able to keep, just kind of write things down. But the best part is because of the way we're doing this on YouTube, you'll be able to go back to that link and watch it and fast forward it and double time it, whatever you need to do. Okay. The machine you have at this point doesn't matter as long as it's an Explorer or above. Everything I show you today only works with Explorer products and up. If you have an old Expression, if you have an old Cricut Cake, an old Imagine, I'm trying to think of all the old machines. Those don't work with Design Space. So anything you have that is compatible with Design Space is going to work today. So if I talk Maker or Explore Air or Explore Air 1 or Explore Air 2, if I talk like that, it really doesn't matter because Design Space is what we're focusing on. However, the first thing I always like to do in class is go over the features of the machine. And I have my machine sitting over here to the side, and we're going to look at that in a second because I like to show you the actual physical characteristics of the machine as well when we're learning this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition my screen to the Cricut cam. Jordan has been teaching me. Let's see if this works. There it is. You should be looking at a Cricut Explore Air 2. And I'm going to scoot over here to it, and we're going to look at the features. I'm trying to make sure my mic is here, make sure y'all can hear me. So this is my Explore Air 2, and basically what this one does is it can work 2 times, well, is it 2 times faster? Yeah, it can work, it can cut 2 times faster than the other Explore, but really, sometimes we cut twice, right? I mean, sometimes, look, he's so proud of me.
Yeah.
Sometimes we cut 2 times faster, but not extremely often. But let's go over the features. So this machine has a knob. This one has been around a while. You have this knob with all these settings, which nowadays doesn't even matter, by the way, because the new way we do Design Space, you pretty much can set this to custom and leave it. Have you found that, Amanda, that you pretty much do that?
Yeah.
Because you really set your settings through Design Space, and we'll get to that. But this one does have some settings, but again, and they were really cool back when we used them, but now we really don't need them. Your power button is here. You have 3 buttons here. This is your load and eject button. Sometimes we have to eject. This is your cut. Your Cricut head is the cut button, and then you have a pause button. This is Joseph's favorite part. This is the open button. He says when you open it, it's like a spaceship opening. He loves this. He was very disappointed with the Maker, and I should let them know that. He is sad that the button does not slowly raise the lid on the Maker. This is your Cricut Explore Air 2 on the inside. Now, something you'll notice here is that this version has 2 carrier heads, and that's important, okay? These are what carry your hardware, your blades, your markers, your scoring tools, both of these guys. And here's what's really interesting. It's going to be hard for you to see this where you're at, but if you're looking at your machine, you'll know this. If you look at this first carrier, okay, or carriage, this first carriage has the letter A. A stands for accessories. We learned that in a class. One of our students shared that with us. She's like, here's how I remember. A is for accessories. B is for blades. Isn't that brilliant? I think it's smart. And it also works on the Maker the same way, which is pretty cool. All right, accessories. What might go in here? Amanda brought me some nice accessories to show you. You might put your score tool in here, okay? So you would pop that in, and real important, when you put an accessory in, you want to support the bottom of the carriage when you pop it into place, because you don't want to press down on that carriage, because you don't want to kind of uncalibrate it, which can happen. And then you're just going to close that door, and now your accessory is loaded in A, all right? Now, don't stress too much about that, because the machine, Design Space, is actually going to show you when you need to load these things. So it's not something you need to really even think about. When it's time to put it in, Design Space tells you. Pretty cool. Markers are the same way. Here's a marker. There's usually, if you're using a Cricut product, there's an arrow that shows you which way it goes into the carrier. You put it in like this. You support the bottom and pop that into place. Oh, I didn't open the door. That would help. Pop that into place. Then close the door. So that guy is now loaded. Okay. And I'm going to put my lid back on. Here's something I always forget about. Watch this. This is so silly. When you take the lid off, if you'll just put it here, it'll hold it. I always forget about that. I always just kind of go, oh, I just have to have the marker, and I throw that to the side, and then I lose my lid. So that's how you do that. Okay. You also have some tool storage here. So you have this little pocket over here that holds storage. Did you hear that? That's going to be different on the Maker. I'll show you in a second. You can hear how that's kind of plastic hitting plastic. That's a little pocket. More storage on this machine is here. These are magnetic drawers, so you can put things here. What's really cool about this section, it holds your blade, your extra blade. So if I open the carriage for B, I'm going to close that one down, and just lift my blade out. See, this is my blade housing. It holds the blade, okay? And it can then lay right in here, if I put it in there the correct way. Just like that, it lays into place, and it won't roll around. It's made for that blade. Isn't that cool? So let's talk about the blade for a second on the Explorer machine. if you press this top button, you'll see the bottom blade pop out. Let me see if you can see that. Did you see how that blade pops? Yep, there it is. Okay. When it does, you might look at that and think, just by looking at it, that your blade is clean. But these guys use such precision for cutting that any little tiny like piece of glitter or stray paper can be on this blade and stop it from cutting or cause your paper to tear a little bit. What you do is you take a paintbrush and brush that guy off like this. Kind of a short hair paintbrush, but not too short. You don't want it to be too stiff. Just brush this guy off periodically and clean it out. If you want to change your blade, watch this. You just grab it and pull it out. The blade is metal, the housing for it, and there's a magnet inside of your blade housing itself, and it just will pop up in there. What I do is turn it upside down and just let it drop in, and now I know it's loaded. That works for your regular blade housing, just like this one, and also your deep cut blade. It's the same way. The deep cut blade, which we didn't bring in here today, is black, right? The housing is black.
I believe it is.
Yeah, so it looks very similar, but the housing is black, so you know it's the deep cut blade. And then you just close the door and your blade is in there. Now for this machine, that's really the only blade. There's only the regular cut blade and the deep cut blade. That's really the only two you load in this machine. Yeah, I'm thinking if there's another blade. Now there are some third-party accessories you can get, like etchers and things like that. Those are available out there too, and those would go into this area also. All right, this button, or this slot. This slot was for old cartridges. If you had cartridges with your old machines and you wanted to load them to Design Space, you would put your cartridge in here. Design Space would then recognize it, and it would give you credit, basically, that you owned that, and then you would have access to that cartridge in your Design Space. That's a little crazy. I have to kind of explain that, because here's what happens. All cartridges live in Design Space now. They just live there, okay? I don't have access to all cartridges, but they're there. If I owned a cartridge before, and I prove it, basically, by putting it into the slot over here, then I get access to that cartridge. That's what that means. It's not that you're literally loading that cartridge into Design Space. You're just letting Design Space know, I own this cartridge, so I should have access to it. With the Maker, it's different. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. Did I forget any features on here?
I don't think so.
These are your little feed. We used to call them feed dogs that would feed the mat in, and there's little guides here for your mat to go under. I think that's pretty much everything there. So I'm going to close this guy up and move him out of the way. And if you have any questions about this machine, now's a good time. We can answer that machine questions here.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that. I'm telling you, Jordan hooked me up.
Good.
And all I have to do is this. Make sure we're in the shot.
Hi, Barbara.
Look at that. Cool beans. Here's the Maker. Ain't she pretty? With all my machines, I have a love-hate relationship. I love them when they work, and I love them even better when Amanda's working them. But
So she really loves them most of the time.
most of the time I love them because Amanda does most of the work on the Cricuts. That's true. But I do love my machines. This Maker is my favorite, and you guys will have known that if you're in my, if you watch my video about it. This is the one that I think if you're going to invest, this is the one to invest in. But if you have the other one, it's great too. It does most of what this will do, not everything.
The most common things, everything it does.
Yep. So one of the things you'll notice right off the bat is that this one doesn't have a knob because you don't need it anymore, which I think is brilliant. So no turning knob for this one. You do still have your power button, your load and eject button, your Cricut head, and your pause. All of those are the same. You still work those the same from here. Notice there's no cartridge spot on this one because now what you do is you purchase an adapter and you use that adapter to load your cartridges. For the most part, people are getting away from buying cartridges anyway, so probably you don't have any to upload, but if you do, you can get that little adapter. Something else this machine has that other machines don't, because we can use our iOS devices like our phones and our iPads and things like that, this has this little slot that you can sit your iPad or your phone in, and you can work it while working the Cricut. Now, mine has a case that's too thick to slide in there, but if you have an iPad not in a case or a phone not in a case, it'll sit. This still sits just fine. If you're me, though, I use my iPad closer to my face than that. So, but that is what that's there for. Now, it is handy if you've built the project and you just need to cut it over and over. You need to do layer after layer. It is handy to put your iPad here and just go next, 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 you know? All right, same thing, an A carriage and a B carriage. The A carriage is accessories. It holds the same accessories as the Cricut Explorer and the Air 2. All these guys fit in here. Your score tool that looks like this, and your markers. Okay. This side's a little different. And something else to note about the Maker, it weighs significantly more. We actually weighed it one time. I don't remember what it is now. I remember we weighed it back here in the, it's like 6 pounds heavier or something. I don't remember.
But I remember you doing
It's significantly heavier. This one is, you can tell there's a lot of metal in this machine versus the other machines. And this housing itself is metal, where this one's plastic. I think you can see that in the screen. This one's silver cast aluminum, where this one's plastic. So I'm going to open this one up. There's some differences. Did you see that arm pop out like that? On the other machine, that arm does not pop out. This one does, because the new blades don't just slide in. Now, this is a regular Cricut blade, just like I could take this one and put it into the Air, and we use it kind of back and forth. It doesn't matter. We use this one as well. But listen to this. Can you hear the difference? That's a little piece of like, I'm going to say like fun foam in the bottom of these. And that's so your blades aren't getting damaged when you're dropping them in there. And I really like that added feature. So the bottoms of these little storage pockets have that fun foam in them, which is really nice. And if you have the other machine, I would encourage you to cut yourself a little piece of fun foam and put down in there just to protect your blades. It's a good idea. Now, these blades look different. This blade is the knife blade. Let me show you that. Do you see that? See that pointy knife? That's the knife blade. I don't have the other blade. Oh, wait, do I? Yes, I do. Okay.
You should have.
Yeah. Here's the knife blade. Okay. Notice how this blade has this wheel at the top where this blade doesn't. This blade is steered from that wheel. It's kind of a gear system, which is really cool. See that? What happens here is there's a plastic half round piece over the gear to keep you from turning it, but the open edge connects to another gear that's inside that carriage. And when you close this down, that is what drives that knife blade. By the way, the knife blade is the bomb. Is it not?
It is.
When we use, sometimes, and this will come in advanced stuff, but sometimes when we cheat the system and make it use a knife blade, we're like, yeah, that's the bomb. We did that with acetate. It works great on acetate. So always keep your little cover for this guy, because that blade protrudes out and you do want to keep it protected. So that's the knife blade. Now, other blades that can be used with the Maker, the rotary blade. Look at this blade. It's the best blade. I don't know which is the best. They're both great. Mm-hmm. This blade is rotary, which makes cutting fabric a dream with the Maker. Works the same way. You load it in the same way, and it cuts on that blade. The reason this one cuts so much better, number one, because it's a rotary, and number two, because it has so much more cut pressure than any other machine, and that's why these blades work, is because of cut pressure. It's amazing. And this blade, oh, I told you wrong. This is the scoring blade. That's the score blade for this machine, which is really awesome too, by the way. It does really good scoring because, like I said, this machine cuts much harder pressure than the others. This is the rotary blade. They look very similar, but you can see the blade showing there. Okay.
Maymay, I would like to say that I hope future they change this. I don't like that you have to change all of these tools in the one slot. The like the scoring thing has to go where the blade would be, versus you could have both of them in separate slots in the older ones.
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
Yeah. And unless they're doing that in new technology, they won't be able to, because this only has the one gear. Because this is gear driven, that's why it uses this one housing. This one doesn't have a gear. Like, have you noticed that? Like, there's no gear over here. It works with the gear.
So that one would hold the older stuff. And
yeah, they'd have to do a new machine to make that happen.
So that kind of
irritated
me a little, but that's
if you have the Explorer 1, if you have the Explorer 1, you're doing that every time anyway. Because there is a machine that has only one carriage, period.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why I tell people don't buy that one. It has one carriage. Don't get that one. This is the deep cut blade, by the way. It's in a black housing, and the blade is just, it protrudes more. Do you see that? And it's I don't believe the blade is any different, actually. Are deep cuts any different? I think they're pressed down further because of the way they sit in here. You can see it hanging out. So that's the deep cut blade, which actually we use it for the other machines. It's just in this drawer. We kind of keep these things all together. This drawer is deeper than any other drawer. I do love that. I love how deep that is. And this little section, let me show you how this works. I'm going to take this blade out of this deep cut housing. So there's a blade. There's a little magnet strip here, and it holds your blades in place for you. So if you have extra blades, and there's one of those in the Explorer Air 2 also, and the Air 1, you have that little magnet strip. Let's drop that back in there without getting cut. Get down. There we go. All right, put that guy away. I think that's pretty much it on this machine. Get that in there where it'll shut. This piece does close a little different. You push this down, and there's an arm that comes over to make that latch. But it's pretty simple to do. Yeah, I think that's it, right? I don't see anything else we didn't cover on this machine. And this one, you just push to close. This is the part that Joe was sad about. There's no fancy closing for us. So there is that. All right, let's see if I'm good at this. I'm going to move us around again. And you should, at this point, get the Cricut Design Space screen. So let's see if that's what's going to happen here. And get this microphone set back. And there we go. Well, I didn't do it. I'm learning. There we go. So now you should have the Design Space screen and me as well. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to log out and log back in for you guys to get to see that. This has been sitting here. Reload the site. I'm going to reload because this has been sitting here on pause waiting on me for a while. This can happen. Did you see that download the plugin? That can happen from time to time. The cool thing is nowadays what they do is they just do it automatically. Like mine just did it just then automatically, and I don't really have to stop and do anything. We used to have to stop and do things. Well, I have got this in a loop. This is fantastic. Let me close this out and come back to it. Can I do that? All right. Leave this site. There we go. Okay. I let it sit there way too long. It's been sitting there since like 9:15. So, and my internet, I'm hoping my internet holds out today. I'm going to warn y'all, we have a lot of rain coming and it's hitting us now. And sometimes it can mess up, but I think we're doing okay. I've been kind of testing this morning. Okay. Cricut Design Space. Where does it live? It lives at Cricut.com, or it lives in an app on your phone or tablet. Now today we will not be discussing the app. That class has to be a separate class. If you're interested in having the Design Space class on an iOS device or a tablet of sorts, it has to be a separate class because it's completely different, really. It's similar in the things it'll do, but it's a completely different process. So today we're looking at the online software, okay? So if you go to Cricut.com, and by the way, if there's a question, you just have to tell me because I don't have the chat anymore.
Okay.
So Amanda will just stop me where she needs to, or just say we have a question. So if you go to Cricut.com, also notice my cursor has a circle around it, so you'll be able to follow me around today. So keep an eye on that. And if, oh, can you see the cursor on your screen?
I'm not there yet.
There it comes. It was off. There's a circle, there's a little circle around my mouse, and now you can see that. And if my face being in the screen bothers you, I can take it out. I just thought it might help us stay engaged if you could kind of see me. But if I'm distracting, let me know and I'll come out of there. Okay, so this is Cricut.com, and I am going to, let me sign out. Did I sign out? Let me come over here to here. Just ignore this part. I'm going to sign out. There we go. Sign out, because I want to sign in with you guys. Okay, so what happens is when you go to Cricut.com, if you want to shop or if you want to go to Design Space, I want y'all to see it nice and clean, so I'm going to go back to it now that I've logged out. If you want to shop, you'll click here, the word shop, and you can find all their cool deals. Obviously, you guys have shopped on here before. You know about this, but all the deals, all the products, all of everything can be found for you here, okay? If you want to design in Design Space, you're going to go to the top, and over to the right, it says Design. You'll click that button. This is where you'll sign in. You'll put in your password, your Cricut ID or email, whatever you're using, and your password. Now, if you don't have an account, you're going to need to go ahead and set one up right here. Create yourself a Cricut ID. Remember your password. You'll need it every time you sign in, unless you save it like I do here, because that way I can just click sign in and I'm in. Does anybody need to set up an account or have you already set up your Design Space account? Let us know. If you haven't set up your Design Space account, you're going to need to do that. Okay, this is my favorite page, and people think it's crazy, but you can do everything from this page pretty much, all right? There, at the top of this page is this header, okay? This whole section is header. And if you click the side buttons, it'll scroll through whatever's available for you. Notice here it says Leah Griffith Projects and Images just added to Cricut Access. So there's new projects from Leah Griffith. I did it again. Jordan told me if I wiggle my cursor, the circle will go away. It did. So this is where you can find new projects for Leah Griffith. If you see this picture, look, iron on in success in 60 seconds or less. That's an advertisement for their heat presses. This is just a great place for you to come to see new stuff that's going on. Or maybe they've got some new images you want to look at. This is a great place to see it on that slider. Now, this section in the middle that says My Projects, this is probably where you'll spend most of your time, because if you're like me, you're probably going to build most of your projects, or even you're going to alter some image and then save it as one of your projects. This is where you find them. Okay, they run right across this section, and there's an arrow to the far right of the screen that you can arrow through all of your projects.
Okay, Gma Mary does need to sign up.
Okay, so what you'll want to do, I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to, oh, I'm not signed in. That's good. So I'm going to click sign in. I think I am. Is that what I'm going to do? It's going. Nope, that's my account. So let's go to design. Let me see if I can log out from here. So you're going to go to that first screen, and where it says create a Cricut ID, you're going to click on that button. And when you do, you're going to need to put your information in here and accept the terms of service and then create your ID. Now, once you do that, you should be pretty much logged in. You will need to decide at some point if you want to do the subscription service or if you just want to do the free part. And in that area, it's going to ask you. I suggest you do the subscription. I love my subscription. It's I think we still pay $9.99 a month, and I love the subscription. It allows me to have a lot of stuff in Access, which we'll talk about in just a second. But that's where you'll set that up. And once you get set up, you'll be signed in and be able to catch up with where we're at, okay? You just want to get signed in to Design Space right here. So go ahead and do that real quick. We won't get very far ahead, I promise, because what we're going to do is just talk about that one page. This page here, what I call like the landing page. So while you're signing in, before we get to the meat and potatoes, you should be fine. All right. Any issue signing in, get with Amanda and let her know in the chat. So like I said, this is the My Projects. You can view all your projects. Let me get my cursor back. There we go. You can view all your projects by clicking right here. And this is going to let you kind of scroll through everything you've ever kind of saved in here. It seems to be taking its time. Or did I not do what I said I was supposed to do? Let me go back. I want to view all my projects. Let's try that again. They're not showing. I don't know why. Could be my internet. Here's what we'll do. Yeah, because look, it's lagging a little bit. I'm going to reload for a second. Sign in again. Okay. So, my projects. I'm just going to scroll through over here on the arrow instead of trying to open it. But you can see that my projects are saved and go way, way back. So let's say, like this project right here, I just used this to be a floor plan for when we went to Made It Con. I don't need to keep this and I don't need to cut it. I want to show you how to clean your projects out. Back in the day, we couldn't do this. Back in the day, you just loaded projects and it was just, remember this? It was just, they were all in your saved items, just projects. Now we can clean them out. Let's say you did a project you're never going to do again and you don't even need to see it. If you come to this little 3 dots in the bottom of the project, you can delete it right here. It's so easy. Just say, yes, I want to delete it. So now that one's gone. So you can keep a kind of cleaned up version of your projects where before we couldn't do that. That's super simple. And you may not even care to delete your projects. You might want them to just live there, and that's fine. I'm going to scroll down and show you this. This section is where you're going to see ready to make projects. I'm going to click view all and let that pop up. There we go. So this is going to show you projects that are kind of suggested and kind of like featured projects. We'll call them featured projects, and they're ready to make. What's so cool about these is you can come right here and search projects that you might want to do. Let's say you have a baby shower coming up. See this section up here that is a search area? You can come to this drop down and you can change this to be whatever you want it to be. You might want to look in your projects. You might want to look at your favorites. You might want to look at all categories, or you might want to scroll down here and find a specific category for the project you need to make. And I happen to see the word baby. So I'm going to click on baby. And this is going to pull up all the baby projects that are ready to make. Okay. You don't have to do anything but say go and put in the project, the supplies, and you're ready. And let me show you how you find the supplies. Let's pick something super cute. Let's do this guy. He's cute. Notice this A right here. Remember how I told you a while ago, you got to decide what your subscription is, or if you're just going to purchase things one at a time. I have the access for mine. Therefore, Amanda's going to sneeze.
Trying real hard not to.
She backed away real fast. Therefore, if it has this A right here, it's in my subscription service, in my access, and I can just use it without paying for it. That's not going to make, just because you have access doesn't mean you have access to all projects. Some projects are licensed projects, and if they're licensed, they're going to charge for them. Like Disney, Anna Griffin, I can't think of NFL projects, stuff like that are licensed. They're still going to charge you for them. But for us, we're going to go to this one because it's an access, and I'm going to click on it. Now, when you do, it brings you to what I call the recipe page. This is where you can find out what you're going to need to create this cute baby footprint ornament. The cool thing is it says that it's easy and you can do it in less than 30 minutes. Now, that's a lie.
Always.
That's a lie. It's easy, but you need to schedule at least an hour for any Cricut project. You will never sit down and do a project in 30 minutes unless you have become a master. And I feel like we're pretty dang good at it, but we don't do it in 30 minutes. It just doesn't happen, especially if you're going to customize it in any way. So just allow yourself some time and don't judge yourself based on these numbers because they really should be a little higher than that. So easy in less than 30 minutes. This says use the image upload feature to customize this project with your own baby's footprint. That's just a suggestion by somebody else, which is really cool to do that, right? So in the description, it says this project cuts one vinyl image for a Christmas ornament. The finished size is given to you here, and then it tells you the materials you need to cut. Notice it says premium vinyl pattern sampler Nordic Christmas. That's what they used in this picture, but you don't have to use that. If you have a scrap of some red glitter, are they using heat transfer? It doesn't say. I think they're just using regular, aren't they? Yeah, they are because they're using transfer tape. Let's say you have some glitter heat transfer vinyl, a little scrap of it, and you want to use that, you totally can do that. You don't have to use exactly what they tell you here. You can mix the product up, okay? And notice how it says to use vinyl midnight. Cricut is always, this makes perfect sense. This is their software and their program. They're always going to recommend Cricut products, okay? You don't have to use Cricut products. You can totally use whatever you purchase yourself. You're probably going to wonder what I recommend. I've never been a Cricut product buyer. Back in the day, I had some of their products and I wasn't in love with them. So I went away and started using things like Oracle and things like Sizer, which some people say Caesar. I don't know how to say it, but it's Siser. Those are the products I really love. Oracle comes in 3 kinds now, doesn't it? Because now they have there's another kind they have now. It's not permanent. It's 651, 631, and another one. I'll have to look that up. I can't remember
I'm never good with those numbers. I mess them up every time.
Oracle has a 651. You can type that in. Oracle has a 631. The 651 is permanent outdoor. The 631, they say, is a removable. Now, here's the deal. I don't find it to be extremely removable. It's okay on like glass and stuff like that, but if you put it on your wall, you pretty much are going to have some damage from it, in my opinion. Don't put it on a wall you don't want to damage is what I say. So those are the ones I really use. Now let's look over here to the other side where it says everything else you're going to need. You're going to need a standard grip machine mat. You're going to need some transfer tape. A weeder. What they mean by that is a tool of some sort. This is a Cricut weeder. It's not really the weeder though. This is just like a pokey tool from Cricut, but they also have one that has this little hook. That's the one I really like to weed with because you can just kind of hook and twist, but you can also use your pokey tool. We've used our fingernail. We've used whatever's handy.
I found an old dental tool that's ended up in my kit.
That works just fine. You're going to need, it says a scraper. maybe, I don't see a reason to use a scraper on this one, the wood slice and some twine. So it's kind of a recipe for you, okay? To prepare, it gives you tips for how to prepare. It shows you how to cut, how to assemble, which is really cool. But my favorite part, if you come down here, it shows you the images that are being used, and it also allows you to customize this project. So notice here it's using footprints, and it gives it this number. Do you see this number that I'm rolling over right here? That number, every image in Cricut has a number associated with it. And you might think, that's no big deal, I don't need that. But it kind of is, because think about this. Maybe you're like, you know what, I know Amanda has a baby shower coming up, and she was looking for footprints, and I happen to see these, and they're perfect for her. I can copy that number, that M42110. You got to have the hashtag, has to have the hashtag. I can copy that and I can send it to Amanda and go, hey, these are those footprints I think you were looking for. So
hopefully not anytime soon.
No, either of us. But that it's a cool way to share images with each other. Maybe you've made a project and somebody you have that's a friend has a Cricut and they're like, where did you find that image? Instead of going, oh, I don't remember the name or this, that, and the other, copy that hashtag and send it to them and they can find it instantly. We'll look at that again in a second, okay? So let me show you how to customize it. Also, notice down here in the access where it says this is $0. That's because I'm signed in and it's in my access. If I weren't signed in, there might be a charge for this, because if any of these images are charge images, that's where you'd see that, which is cool too, because if you see it ahead of time, you can switch those images out. Let me show you what I mean. Let's customize it. I'm going to click the button Customize. Any questions I need to address real quick? Okay.
Grandma Mary did get signed up.
Good, 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 good. Okay, to customize, check this out. Obviously, my child is not named Kaylee or Callie, right? So I need to change that. So I would click on that, and I can make adjustments here. I'm actually going to double click it. Hold on, I got to get on it. There we go. I'm going to double click it, and notice that my text box comes up. Here I can change it to my baby's name and 2018. So see how I can customize that. But more than that, let's say I don't want it to be a foot. I can click on that image and either delete it or move it away. All right. And I can go into images and find a different image I want to use. I'm not going to do that right now. But that's what's so cool about this is you can totally change this out. Now they say this is a placeholder foot. Upload an image and trace the baby for the baby foot. That's great. That's an advanced situation. Okay. I can show you that in another video, but uploading images and cleaning images, you might want to write that down. That's a good one. We were talking about other class topics. That would be a good one to do. But I love that we can customize these images. All right, so let's go back. And one more time. Oh, come on. Let me go back to where I was. There we go. So, oops, that was not successful. Right there's where I want to be. Okay, so that's kind of the overview of Make It Now projects, a really quick overview. The other thing you can do with these, see this little share button right here? Let's say you happen to know that Amanda's been looking for a project just like this and you've run across it. You can click the share button and you can share it on Facebook, Pinterest. Isn't that cool? You can also, I don't know if y'all know this, this is really cool. You can also just come up here to the address bar, click and turn that blue, copy that, and then paste it to her either through Facebook message, through an email, through a text message, because those addresses, because this is a web-based software, takes you exactly to those pages. It's really cool. That's really neat. All right. Oh, there's more pictures of this project. Look at this. You can scroll through the other pictures if you want to see them. They're pretty much the same thing. All right. So that is Make It Now projects and how those work. They're not called Make It Now anymore, are they? They used to be back in the day. Now they're called, let me go back and look at them. Ready to make projects is what they're called now. All right, so that was that first section of them. Then I want to show you something that they've added recently. See where this says top video tutorials, view them on YouTube? If you click right here, it takes you to their YouTube channel and you can go find their top video tutorials and you can watch them right here. Things like 1 of 3 how to create a fabric banner. Things like homepage overview, introduction to design space. Things like canvas overview. Isn't this cool? Y'all need to remember this because you can come in here and look. How to Cricut episode 1, gift tag. How to Cricut episode 2, custom notebook. Pretty cool, right? There's lots of videos on their channel you can check out and also subscribe to them. How many subscribers do they got? 180,000, that's pretty good. They used to not have nearly that many. I was shocked. There used to be so few subscribers. So that's really good. That's a good tip for you there. All right, and you can look right here. Let's say that you scroll through them and you want to make this little elephant with the knife blade. This is a video that will walk you through it. I'm going to click it. We can always come out of it. Look, straight to it. Isn't that awesome? I think it's cool. I've got my YouTube muted for this while we're doing this right now. So, all right, let's come out of there. Underneath that, now you see projects. Look, cards, Christmas, free for Cricut Explorer Air. Now check this out. If you don't have a sign in, if you don't have the access, you can totally use the free projects. There are lots of free projects, by the way. Free for Cricut Maker. Now, why would they have two different categories? Because the Maker can cut some materials that the Explorer Air or Air 2 can't. That's why there's two different projects there. Home decor, iron-on. It goes for days. It really does go for days. There are projects here you can make forever. Okay? So that is your dashboard overview. That was a long one, but you got to know all that stuff. Okay? Now what I want you to see is this little plus button right here. There's two places you can start a new project. One is here at this little plus button. The other is here where it says new project in the top right. I'm going to click the little plus. Oh, I better not. I got to show you one more thing before we do. You see these little three lines in the top left? That's called a hamburger, by the way. I learned that from Melody Lane. She calls it little hamburger. So I'm going to click on the hamburger and I get this drop down. Notice that I'm signed in. I can view my profile from here. I can toggle between my canvas and this home page from here because you see home and canvas. But look, here's where I can find new machine setup, calibration, should you ever need to calibrate your machine, manage custom materials. This is really cool, okay? I can update firmware from here. I can see my account, link my cartridges, get Cricut access, look at my settings, check out the legal stuff, see new features. I can change my, what's the word? Location. I was trying to say language. Location there. And, oh, I didn't mean to click that. We don't care about the legal fine print. I just want to show you where all this stuff is. Now, let me go back to calibration, because if you're new to Cricut, that might freak you out. And you're like, oh, am I going to have to calibrate this machine over and over? You're not going to have to calibrate your machine over and over. But there does come a time when you might need to. And I'll tell you for an example. So my graphic designer, Mandy, used to also make our planner stickers for us. And she used her Cricut to do it. And for some reason, they were cutting just slightly off and we could not figure it out. And she had calibrated it and tried everything. Well, she contacted Cricut, and what they did was they sent her a calibration sheet to use, because what was happening was her printer was not printing the calibration sheet exactly right. It was a little off. So when she would calibrate, it was setting her machine a little off. Now, this is only for very precision cuts. Most of the time, you're not going to have that issue. But if you ever see that it's kind of off, that may be the problem, and you might need to calibrate.
Okay, I have a question.
What's with this room making a sneeze?
I don't know. I think it's the weather.
It might be.
Andrea's asking, do you only see my ready-to-make projects if you have a subscription?
No, you can see them anyway because you can purchase one. So, let me come out of this really fast. So let's say that you see it. Well, are you not seeing it on your screen? I wonder. Should I sign out and look? Let's sign out and look. I don't want to sign in. Do I have to sign in? I do. That's the problem. I have to be signed in, and it's going to go based on my... But I think you should see them no matter what. You should be able to see the Make It Now projects because they want to sell them to you. Mm-hmm. You know, they want you to be able to buy them.
Even if you buy it as an individual.
Let me find one that's not free. Here's one. Clearly, because it doesn't have the access in it, this one would be one I'd have to pay for. I'm going to click on it. And if you look down at the bottom, well, it says free. Oh, it may be free no matter what. This one's free with my access. This one's free no matter what. Let me see if I can even find one that'll charge me. I bet this Riley Blake charges. Nope. Okay.
Do you see anything, Anna? Or she says she doesn't see it and she's signed in.
Oh, you know what it's doing? Well, it's showing me all these that are my access. And then these. Maybe they're not free. Maybe they're part of my access. I don't know. Maybe that's why it's showing it. It's because I have access to them for free. But you can find them. Let's do this. If you go up here to, I'm signed in, aren't I? So let's see how you can find them. If you go to, let me see what happens when I do this. Okay, if you click on My Projects and you see this drop-down bar right here, do that drop-down. If you go here, you can click on that's My Ready to Make projects. Let's go to all categories. Yeah, these are ready to make right here. All of these are. So you can find them, and I'm going to give y'all a tip. This is your best tip, okay? If there's one thing Cricut does well, it's customer service. And I really mean that. They do. They do their customer service well. So if you're not seeing something that everybody else is seeing today, you might consider just giving them a call and saying, okay, how do I access this? But you should be able to see them in the categories.
Miss Sylvia says the free shows $1.98 for her.
Oh, see? Okay. So they are some charge ones. Maybe refresh your screen and see if it just didn't load. It could be that. All right. Let's go back to home.
Molly is seeing them and does not have access.
So refresh your screen. Let's try that real quick. Let's get to the good stuff. Y'all don't care about this stuff. Let's get to the project stuff. Right. Let's make a new project. Click on the plus button. New project. Here it is. The meat and taters. Am I in your way down here in the bottom? Do y'all want me to move? I do want to show you one thing. Okay. My screen looks like this. See how big my screen is? And you can see every bit of it. And notice up here at the top that my screen goes from 0 to 23. That is the resolution of my computer itself. It will hold that much. I bet yours isn't holding that much. Well, you don't sign out.
I can't. Yeah.
But Amanda's screen is a 13-inch screen, where mine is a
big.
I don't know. Probably a 18-inch?
Probably.
Maybe a 20-inch? Probably a 20-inch. So the resolution of your screen is going to shrink what you can see. But that's no big deal, because I want to show you something. Just super fast, I'm going to head over here, and I am on the internet. Picture-in-picture, yes. Am I? What happens if I do this? Not what I want. Maybe I'm not on the right one. Let's go like this. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to... There. Okay, I turned me off for just a second. If you look in the bottom left hand of your screen, okay, where my face was, there is very faintly a 100% with a minus and a plus beside it. This is where you can change the size of the screen. I'm going to zoom mine. So I'm going to press the plus button. And so I'm zooming it. Okay. So see how my grid is getting larger? Are y'all able to see that? I think you are. That you can zoom in and out on your screen. You'll want to be mindful of that, because you may just get in there and go grab an image and start working on it. And before you're done, realize it's 20 inches wide and you didn't want it to be 20 inches wide, which you probably wouldn't do that. But it has happened to me before where I'm like, oh, I forgot to resize it. That has happened. Okay. So I'm going to go back to 100%. If you need to change your screen, that's where you do it. Now, if it doesn't bother y'all, I'm going to bring me back. Nobody's complaining, because I like to look at you every now and then and make a point. All right. So let's look at the buttons that are available here. Over in the left-hand side on this screen here, you'll see the plus button. If you're making this project and just all of a sudden you're like, I want to make another project now, you can save the one you're working on and then click this plus button and start your next project right here. You don't have to go back to the home screen to start a new project. You can also start a project, never mind, just this one. Just remember that. We're going to stick to onesies instead of all the other options. This button here, the controversial template button. You like that I call it the controversial button? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to click it. This gives you the option of using a template. All right. Let's say you have an apron and you want to make a image for that apron, and you click on this template. I want to show you what it does. It brings a grayed out, or actually a line image in the background. Now, it used to be a grayed out image. It's a line image of an apron in the background. And I want you to notice how those inches that I showed you just changed. See how they went from, I think mine were 20 something to now 31, because it has changed the size to be more accurate toward a real apron. Also, notice in the bottom, it changed my zooming from 100 to 75% so I can see more. Now, here's the thing about templates. They are fine and good, but they are not for everybody. Here's why. My apron may not be that size. My apron might be bigger or smaller. The space I have might not be the same. And if I spend all this time building an image in this template and then it's not the right size, what's the point, right? Now, why did I call them controversial? I'll tell you. Because back in the day, they had these templates, which were called canvases. They changed that to be templates, okay? They actually did away with them and people got really upset. I didn't get upset because I never use one. I measure my project and build to my project, okay? If for some reason you want to use a template, that's where you find them. They're right here. Again, it is going to be a very odd thing for my project to be exactly the same size as one of these, except my Cricut bag. That would make sense because they know the dimensions of my Cricut bag, and that's probably going to match my Cricut bag just fine, and I could use that template. But is my front door going to be exactly the same as that door? Probably not. Is, my pot here, like this little crock pot, going to be the same? Probably not. So that's why I don't care anything about templates. You might find that you like them, but I think they're a little bit, and I think Cricut felt like they were not needed, and that's why they did away with them. But because of the backlash, they brought them back and call them a template now. Okay, so we're not going to use them. So I'm going to go back. Let me see if I can just arrow back to nothing. I don't think I can. I think I have to do that. Yeah. So, all right, that's a template. That's all the time we're spending on templates. I don't think you need them. I'm just deciding for you is what I'm doing. All right, the next one is projects. You can click right here and you can find a project. Remember how I told you can go to that all categories? That's what this does. It takes you to all of them. And this is a good place for you if you didn't see it on that other one to see it here. And you can scroll through projects that are available. But if you do this, you're going to be here all day and it'll be midnight before you start your project because you're going to be looking at all these projects and wishing you were doing them. Here's what you do instead. You come to the top and you pick what you're looking for. Okay, so do your drop down and decide, I want to do an Anna Griffin project because I want to see if they'll show money on here, by the way. And then maybe you even search it down even lower to maybe you want to do something. It's Anna Griffin. I was going to do pink. Everything's pink. Flower. Everything's flower. Let's see if I can do frame. Let's see if it'll pull up something like that. Here we go. Okay, so I want to do a frame of some sort. So we can pick on this one. And yes, see at the bottom, this one will cost me $11.94. So see, if it's not included in my access, I'll be able to see what it would cost me. That's good. That showed you that. All right, that's projects. Now let's go to images again. The rabbit hole of images. You could look at these. They're over, let's see, there were over 60,000 images. I'm sure that's more now, but there was over 60,000 images. Here's images. These are available to you. What you're going to notice is this one says access, and it shows me that I'm subscribed and I can just use it. This one does not say that, and it shows me it cost me 99 cents. That's important to look at. Now, does that mean I can't make a project like this? No, because what I would do is go find a square and go find the word thanks and create it myself. You know, I wouldn't pay 99 cents for it. I would manipulate it myself with the images. You totally can do that, okay? Let's talk about images real quick because I want to show you this. See this little info eye right here? Anytime you see that little eye, that means there's information for you if you need it about an image or something like that. Let's click it. When you do, you'll notice that this image is called Man Playing Saxophone. And remember that little hashtag I told you about? It's right there again. So I know you guys are like me. You're on Cricut websites or you're on Facebook groups and you're talking back and forth to folks. And somebody's like, I'm looking for the perfect man playing a saxophone image. And you're like, oh, I bet this is one they'd want. You can share it with them that way. Also notice, this is my favorite, to save you a little time. Maybe he's not the perfect man playing a saxophone for you. See this green word that says musician silhouettes? If you click on that, that's the name of the cartridge he comes from. Now look what I get. I get all the images from that cartridge to choose from. So maybe, was he up here? Let me see if I can. So maybe he was the one I was looking at, but he's not perfect for me. But maybe this guy down here is. Now I've seen some more options. Isn't that cool? It's really good for like baby cartridges or wedding cartridges when you see like a set of rings or something, but you're like, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. And you click on that cartridge, it opens it up for you. It's really cool. The other thing that's cool, I want you to think about, let me go back. I don't know if I can just go straight back with the arrows. I'm going to try. Nope. All right. Projects. No images. The other thing that's really cool about it is this. Let me go right there to the word images. Can I not do it that way? I'll do it here. All right, clicked on images. The other thing that's cool is this. This is in my access, which means when I open that cartridge, all those images are in my access too. See? So I don't have to go, oh, can I use them? They're all in there. All right. Now, again, you could get in this rabbit hole and go through. By the way, these are new images. Aren't they cute?
Wow.
I can get in this rabbit hole of looking and looking and looking at all of these things. But I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. Maybe I just want to look at free images. Up here at the top, you have images, categories, cartridges, a search bar. But over here, you have a filter. This is my favorite. Click filter. When you do this, you can notice that I can filter out what I'm looking at based on these options. Number one is my images. You might have uploaded images that you've purchased from somewhere else, like SVG files or photos or things like that. If you click my images, you can search only images that are yours that you own. Okay? The same here with uploaded. Anything you've uploaded, you can search just that. Maybe you just want to do the free projects. I'm going to click free. If I tell it to filter out to the free projects, all the things I see here are free for me to use, and I don't have to pay a dime, and I don't have to have access. That's not true. It does show you access as your free projects, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah, it does. There they are. If you don't have an access account, though, and you click free, it's going to bring you free images, okay? You can unfilter by unclicking, and now I just want to see what's in my access. Let's click that. Now, all of these are going to be things that are part of my subscription. Peace, love, and bacon? That's cute. All right. I can look at 3D. Y'all know I love 3D projects. I can filter out and look at 3D projects. Look at all these 3D things that are available. I love the filters. It saves you time, and time is money. It is, isn't it? Because, it's gift money or it's work money or whatever. Come up here and go to cartridges, and what it's going to do is pull the cartridges, not your cartridges, but the cartridges. You can filter them to be your cartridges, free cartridges, cartridges in your access, or ones you have purchased. So you can still filter them out, okay? You'll want to know that because trust me, when you start looking for images, give me a project to make, Amanda. I say baby all the time, so.
You don't put me on the spot.
Give me some other holiday or something. Not Christmas.
Has come up.
Valentine's. Good job. Valentine's.
I hate being put on the spot.
Well, you did a good job. Look, I can search in cartridges for Valentine projects. And here's all these little Valentine cartridges. Look, this little cartridge, I'll Be Yours Valentine Party Set. If you notice over here, it's $3.99. I don't have that in my access, but I can purchase it. So it works the same way. Just narrow down your searches. All right. Let's go over here to shapes. Remember how I told you can manipulate these shapes to turn them into those images you see over there sometimes? This is how you do it, and we're going to do that in a minute, but this is how you would do it, is with these shapes. So you remember that thanks word started with a rectangle, right? So if I go into shapes, I can click on the square, and I can turn this into a rectangle. We'll get there in a minute. We're not going to do it right now. But I can turn this into a rectangle, put the word thanks on it, slice it out, and I've created what would have cost me 99 cents. That was a quick, easy way to explain that. Shapes are really cool because they give you a lot of stuff. The square, the circle, the triangle, the diamond, the pentagon, the hexagon, the star, the octagon, the heart, and the score line. This is where you find your score line. If you're making like cards or 3D projects and you want them to score, this is where your score line is. All right, upload. Let's upload something because you want to know how to do it. So, I didn't bring anything into upload. Let me think what I want to upload. All right, let's click upload. In the upload section, you can upload your own images. Let me tell you something that's real important. If you upload an image, you can no longer share that project with anybody. It doesn't matter if you own it. For example, if I upload my logo, I still can't share that with Amanda, even though I want Amanda to be able to use it. I can't do it because it's an image I uploaded. The reason for this, and it's a good reason, it keeps people from stealing images. For example, I don't want somebody to steal my logo and manipulate it and then share it with everybody. So the only way to share those images with someone is to make a project for them and give it to them that way, or cut it for them. But you would need to own that. Make sure you're not taking things you don't own and selling them, making a profit, things like that. Okay. To upload images, actually you have two things here you can do. The first one is your image. I want you to pay attention to this little line right here. It says images can be JPEG, GIF, PNG, BMP, SVG, or DXF. Okay? JPEG, GIF, and PNG, you're probably pretty familiar with. Most people know what a JPEG is. That's like a photo. Okay? A GIF is going to be an image. A lot of times it's a movable image. You know, you've seen them, like we share them on our messages and things like that. A PNG is an image that doesn't have a background, so it has a transparent background. Like a lot of logos are this way because they want to be able to put them on any color project. A BMP file, never heard of it, never needed it, don't stress about it. You're probably not going to need it either. It's probably something Photoshop or Adobe or something like that, which you probably don't use. An SVG file is a scalable vector graphic. Those are files like you buy from Miss Kate Cuttables or The Dreaming Tree or Etsy. They're all over Etsy. Or you might find them on Pinterest. Some people sell SVG files on Pinterest. Those are files someone's created. You get them from me. I give them to you free with your stamp sets. A lot of companies do that. What that means is it's an image that can be kind of locked. No matter how you stretch it, it's still vector, meaning it has a smooth, clean edge, all right? And that's how you can get a nice cut with it, all right? There's more about that. We can do that in another class. DXF files, I'm pretty sure those are embroidery themed, something to do with embroidery. And if you don't do embroidery or that, it really doesn't affect you. All right. The other thing you can upload are patterns. This is super cool, okay? You can upload photographs that you can then cut shapes out of. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We need to do a class on that separate. Pattern fill can be very confusing, and it's not a beginner situation, but you can upload a pattern or a picture there, and it tells you what they can be. Let's go to upload image. I don't know if I have an image to upload. We'll see. I'm being real brave here. Let me look for my logo. I think I have. There it is. Good. We'll upload my logo image. All right. You're going to get a little extra because I didn't think I was going to get to do this today. So this is cool. Let's say you notice this logo has this white background. This is the logo I use for thumbnails, and I always leave that white background so it'll pop on my YouTube thumbnails. But let's say I want to cut it without that white background. This is so easy and so cool. All right, we're going to tell it that we're going to bring it in. I'm going to bring it into Design Space as a complex image. Even though it's really not, I'm going to call it complex. Notice here for the simple image, it says a high contrast color and transparent or monochrome background. The second one, the moderate, is a simple detail and color with good contrast. And then the complex is fine detail and blended colors. Those little words at the bottom are pretty fine detail, that and you can too. So I'm going to bring it in as complex. So I'm going to click complex and say continue. Now, at the top right, these little guys right here are your friend, okay? You can crop, you can erase by clicking this little button here and using this eraser. There it is. See how I'm erasing that background? Anytime you have an image that has a transparent background, you'll see that little checkerboard grid. That lets you know there's no background there, okay? Now, this could take me a while and there's no way I could get through these letters and empty that white background out. But watch this. Here's the magic button. It's actually called select and erase. I'm going to choose my little magic wand. I'm going to click out here into the white. I'm going to go into the white and click. And when I do that, look what happened. All that background dropped away. Okay. However, inside of here, there are pieces that are still there. The way you can know if you're ready to cut is to preview this image. So if I come down here and preview, look what happens. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look right. I've missed way too many things. All right. I'm going to hide my preview. And now I'm just going to use that same tool, put my cursor into the white and click. And everywhere there's white that I want to get rid of, this will then take it out by just touching and clicking. Isn't that cool?
Maymay, Molly's got the update Design Space plugin has popped up and she can't get rid of it.
Did you refresh? Tell her to refresh and see if that'll help. And accept it. Did you accept it? Because they will pop up on you because they do it automatic nowadays. Like if you need one, it'll happen. That little guy can be annoying. I know. It happens to me all the time. I'm just cleaning out any white space because I want to show you the preview. Now, I missed some spots on purpose because I want to show you this. Oop, I didn't mean to miss this one and this one. All right, I'm going to preview it again. Look at this. Inside that T, I missed that. And I missed a spot inside that little C right there. And I think I missed a spot up here in my hair, but I'm not real worried about that. But this is a pretty good cut, the way I've got this. I'm going to hide this preview and get rid of this spot inside this T real quick. Now I'm going to preview it. Nope, I still didn't get it. It's very... All right, if I didn't get it and it's too hard, we can zoom. So if I come up here to the top, I have the zoom in and zoom out. This is so good. I'm going to zoom in. Did that help, Molly? Tell her to let us know. And then I can get in here where I can actually get to it and click that and clean out that inside. I'm sure I got it there. Let's see. Yep, so now there's this little tiny hole right there. So that's how you clean out these backgrounds, okay? And then when you say continue, this is cool too. You can then name this, and I can call this Maymay logo, all right? And I can tag it. Logo, Maymay, big face, that's what we call it. The big face
well,
logo.
Only after the shirt. But
Yeah, the big face logo, whatever. So that when I'm searching later, if maybe I call it the Maymay or the logo or the big face, it'll find it based on those tags. Then I can save it. Now, yep.
Deb said she had to pause a few minutes ago and she knows you've already moved on, but there was a calendar showing. Do you just print that on the Cricut?
You can print it, cut it, anything you... Images are very manipulative. Manipulative? You can manipulate lots of images in lots of ways. You can tell it to print, you can tell it to cut. I'll show you here. So now that I've uploaded that image, you see it sitting right there? There's my logo. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to insert this image. Okay, and that means it's going to bring it to my canvas is what it's going to do. Now you see, that looks pretty good, nice and clean, right? See this little lock button right here? This works for any image. Images come in locked. There's a reason for that. Some images you need to be constrained. Some of them you don't want to stretch funny. Let me show you what I mean. If I unlock this by clicking that little button, now I can stretch it down. And see, I don't want my logo to look like that. I can stretch it out, which looks better. But if I don't unlock something like this, if I leave it where it was and leave that locked, now when I pull this, it constrains it and keeps it looking like it's supposed to, if that makes sense. So we were talking about images, printing, cutting, things like that. Once you bring an image in, Cricut decides what it thinks it is. It may not be what you want, but Cricut makes a decision, okay? For this image, let's see what it decided. If I head over here to the right, this is called our layers panel. You're going to hear me talk about the layers panel like crazy in just a second. This is your layers panel. This little line right here, each of your images get their own, what would we call that? They get their own line in your panel. Okay, so they get their own layer. All right. Notice here that when you look in that little hole right there, you see the image. And then next to it, you see a printer graphic. That means Cricut decided this is a print image. But I want to cut it, so I want to tell Cricut otherwise. So I'm going to click on that little image. When I do, my layer attributes panel flies out. All right. At the top of this, notice these options I now have. I can change this image to be a cut image, to be a write image, to be a score image, or to be a print image. I'm going to change it to a cut image. When I do, I want you to pay attention to what the image itself does. I changed it to cut, and notice what it did. It turned gray, and everything turned one color. Because now the Cricut's only pay attention to the outside lines. It's not paying attention to all the colors on the inside. Because it doesn't care anymore. Because the only way it matters about color is what I put on my mat now. Does that make sense? I think it does. All right, so we've made that a cut image. If I want it to be a print image, I just change it back to print. If I want it to write, I will click write. Now look what happens. When I make it a write image, it just gives me the outline for a marker to write the shape. That's pretty cool in a lot of places for you to be able to do that. But it will not fill in your image. It's not going to marker in your image. It's only going to do the outside line. For score, it's the same thing. Actually, the score is very broken on this one. This is not an image to score. This is just messy, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to put it back on print for a second. Okay, it's a print image now. Let me Why did that not change? Sometimes it does that to me. Let's go cut and let's go print. Let's just undo what all I've done here and get it back. I love undo. See the undo button at the top? It's my favorite button. How many favorites do I have today? Also at the top, while I'm doing this, I'm going to select this image. The way you know an image is selected is there is a box around it, and it gives you these buttons that all do something, okay? We talked about the unlock over here, or the lock. This is the stretch button, so you can change the size here. This is the rotate button. So maybe I want to rotate this guy around in some way. I can do this. I'm going to undo it to get it back to normal. And if I don't want this image anymore, I can click this red X and it goes away. Now, with the image selected, I have a lot more options of what I can do with it. Notice at the top, now I can undo or redo, but I can also deselect this image. I can edit this image. Let's do this drop down, which means I can cut it or copy it, duplicate it right there. I can flip this image horizontally or vertically. And here I can get very specific. Let's say I want this image to fit in a 3x3 space, okay? I can come right here and I can go into the width and I can type 3, that's inches by the way, and it's going to change it to 3 inches wide. Now, it constrains it for me because I still had it locked, all right? Remember, this is locked and this is still locked. I'm going to unlock it by clicking this lock at the top. And now I'm going to change this to 3 inches also. And look what it's going to do. It made my image 3x3. It doesn't look good, but it did make it 3x3. So that's what that little section does for us. I'm going to undo that. All right. Now with it selected, see how we've got this rotate option and we have a position option? I never use that position option. What that is, it's an X and Y axis on your screen. And I have never found a reason to use it. Have you ever found a reason to use it? Mm-mm. It literally will take the image and put it where you tell it X and Y axis on the screen. Makes no sense to me. I'm sure there's a reason for it or it wouldn't be there. Okay, let's get rid of my logo. Let's do some fun stuff. Any questions right now?
No, Molly still can't get rid of that.
Close out your browser and come all the way back. Did she do that?
That's what I was letting her know.
Yeah, close out your browser, like literally turn it off and come all the way back. Sometimes you can get in a loop and your cookies will do that sometimes. Mm-hmm. All right, this rectangle. Should we make that sign we saw? What should we do? Make a tag or make a sign?
I think the sign.
The sign I just showed him?
Yeah.
Let's make the thanks sign. You mentioned it, yeah. Let's do it. All right. First off, I don't want it to be a square. That sign was a rectangle. So I'm going to unlock this, okay? And I'm going to stretch it out. We're going to make that thanks sign, all right? So I've stretched this guy out. Now, if you remember, that sign had some funny edges. Remember, it wasn't a square. It wasn't a rectangle. It actually had kind of almost like a parallelogram or something, but we're going to do that too. Let me show you how. I'm going to use shapes as scissors. I love to do this, all right? So I'm going to go in here and grab myself another square. I'm going to bring it over here to the side. Now, I'm going to turn this one a different color just so you can remember that it's my scissors. It doesn't matter that it's a different color. I just want you to remember this red one is my scissors. So I want to cut this away to have kind of a wonky angle, all right? So I'm going to stretch this guy out so it's a little bigger than this rectangle, and I'm going to angle it. And then I'm going to bring it over this guy. So you can see now I've got that wonky edge laying over that rectangle. When I do this, I'm going to slice this away. So I'm going to use that rectangle as scissors again, okay? You need to select both of these images to do that. Let me show you what you can do. You can put your cursor in the top left and click and drag and get all of these guys, okay? Or if you're a keyboard clicker like me, you can click one image, hold down the shift button on your keyboard and click the second image. That selects them both. You can go to the top of the screen and click select all, but that only works if you're wanting to select all the images on the screen. If I have 3 or 4 images, that won't work. I don't want everybody. I just want these two, okay? And I want to show you this because there is a time you might need to use this, okay? In your layers panel, if you have a stack of images over here and you need to get really specific with selecting them, you can click on the line that is the image you want, hold down Shift on your keyboard again, and then click the line of the second image you want, and that will select them both too. That'll come in handy one day, I promise, because there's times when you have things layered on top of each other and you can't find them all, but you can see them in the layers panel, so you can go and select them specifically, okay? Now that I have two images selected, come down here to the bottom right. I did it again. I turned my cursor thingy off. Okay. Come down to the bottom right. See how I have the option of slice, weld, attach, flatten. We also have contour, but it's not available right now. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to slice these two images, all right? So I'm going to click slice. When I do, notice what happens. I have a gray image. I have this funny shape in the middle and my scissors over here. Let's move the scissors out of the way. So there's my scissors. Now, when we slice, it acts like a cookie cutter, okay? The shape is cut out. But you know, if you cut a cookie, you have the shape, and then you have the dough in the middle that you also have to remove. That's what this is like, okay? So I cut the shape, but I need to remove that dough it left behind, which is there, and then the piece that I was cutting away. So now I have this angle from just slicing. Isn't that neat? Slice is really cool. You'll use slice a lot, but there's something you need to know about slice. Let's go in and make another crazy angle on this side. So I'm just going to select both of these and click slice. Now I've sliced them, okay? But I want to show you something. Let's say that I decide I want to take a notch out of the bottom of this guy, and I want to cut this shape out of this side. You wouldn't do this, but let's say I want to cut 3 shapes at one time. You can't do this. Let me show you. If I select all of these guys and I look in the bottom, my slice will not let me do it. You can only slice 2 images at a time, okay? So I have 3 images on the screen right now. That won't work. But if I take one of them away, yeah, I'll take this one away. But take one away and select these guys, it's only 2 images. Now I could slice that, all right? It's important to know that. It's frustrating when you're like, I want to slice these, but it won't slice because it'll only slice 2 images at a time. Now what we need to do is put that word thanks in here. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go out to images. And I know that word's out here. I'm just going to type the word thanks. And I'm going to find it for free. I hope I'm going to find it for free. Somewhere I'll find it for free. If not for free, I'll find it in my access. Let me filter by free to save time. Let's just grab this one. It's not exactly the same, but we're going to put that one in. So here's the word thanks. All right, so now I'm going to take this and put it over this little spot. And we're just going to slice again. Because in that other image, if you remember, it was cut out of the middle. So all we're going to do here is slice. But before I do, I want to line this guy up, okay? I want it to be in the center of this image. So what I'll do is select both of these guys. And here's another feature we need to talk about. It's called align. The cool thing about the Cricut is if the feature is available, it will be dark gray. If it's not available, it'll be light gray. So if you ever go, I wonder if I can do this, if you select what you want to do it to and whatever you want to do is not dark on the screen, like remember when slice was light gray and not dark gray? If it's light gray, it's not something you can do in that moment. But if you look up here, align is now available to me. If you look beside it, arrange is not available. I can't arrange these 2 images, but I can align them. So I'm going to click on align. And it'll give me this drop down. Check this out. I can line them to the left. Let's do that. We'll see what happens. Watch everything move. See how things move to the left? I can align them to the center, which is what we want. I can align them to the right. This is really cool. I love this feature. But what I want to do is down here at the bottom, and I want to line them center and center. So see how that just lined everything up where it needs to go? Pretty cool. Questions? Anything over there? I hear you typing and stuff.
No. Molly's
trying to help Molly. Oh, she's back?
She's
okay,
in.
good deal. Okay. Now what I want to do is slice this out. So this is easy. You've seen it. I'm going to click slice. And now I'm just going to move this thanks out of the way. And I'm going to move this thanks out of the way. This was my cookie cutter. This was the dough. All right. I'm going to get rid of these. I don't need them. So now when I go to cut this, the thanks will be cut out. And I didn't pay 99 cents for that image. You see what I'm saying? You can do this if you just go, oh, I can create that one myself. So we won't have to pay for this one. Let's talk about weld, because we didn't talk about weld. I want to undo this for a second, only because I just want to get these 2 images separate. There we go. Let's say I wanted the word thanks to live on the top of this banner for some reason, maybe on a card or something like that. I can take this word and I can put it up here at the top. And as long as it's overlapping the image, you see how I've kind of overlapped it right here? I can now weld this and make it one image. I can center it, do whatever I want to. But I want you to see this, okay? I'm going to grab both of these guys and we're going to weld them together. Watch what happens when I click weld. Weld is right down here at the bottom. Notice how it turns one color because it's one image. Also notice where these guys meet, those lines have gone away. This is important. Amanda will tell you. We've learned this the hard way, okay? This is important because if you're doing words, especially with vinyl, and maybe it's a script, and you've overlapped the script somewhere, if you don't weld those together, when you go to cut them, all those overlaps are going to cut, and you're going to have a mess in your vinyl. Now, we've done it, and you can get around it, but it's a pain to have to do, okay? So when you weld them together, those cut lines go away. Let me show you another thing using these same images. Notice how the thanks is overlapped. When we welded it, we made it one image, all right? If I select these now and I attach them, I want you to see the difference in attach and weld. Attach simply attaches the word thanks above that rectangle, and notice how the lines don't go away. Do you see that? Those are still cut lines because I didn't turn it into one image. I just glued them together. Does that make sense? Like I told Cricut, keep these images together on the mat. That's all I said to it. So if I were to say make it, let's look at it. If I say make it right now, it will cut on my mat just like that. But it's going to cut all of these lines out. So you have to remember that. If you don't want those little lines cut, you need to weld them together. Did that make sense, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to double check with her and make sure. Also, look, anywhere I put it, it stays together. It's different than grouping. You can group images, but it's different in that if you attach something, let me think for a second. If I shared this with you, could you detach it? I don't think you can. You can ungroup.
I'm not sure.
If I share an image, you can ungroup.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do something. I'm going to do this. I'm going to detach it. And then I'm going to group it.
I know attached will cut together versus group holds them together, but they will cut the colors, the different they're supposed to.
That's what I think too.
And don't forget to mention weld is permanent once it's saved.
Weld is permanent once you save it. Thank you. If I create a project and I weld something together and I save it, I cannot, when I open that project again, I cannot unweld it. So just know that. Once you weld something and save it, it's done.
It's usually a good idea to duplicate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that way you have one that's not welded in case you want to fix something.
And you can just leave it over here to the side. Just have it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to cut it every time. All right, let me do this real quick. Group and attach. If I wanted... Oh, I know. Let me go back to them normal. If I wanted the word thanks to write on this image, not be a cut, but write. The first thing I do, we talked about this. I'm going to go to the scissors. Oh, I got rid of my cursor thing. I'm going to go to the scissors, and I'm going to tell it to be a write image. So now it's going to write the outline of thanks, okay? Let me change the color of this so you'll be able to see this. I'm just going to change the color right here. That's real easy to do. So let's take thanks and let's put it up here. This is going to make sense. If I group these together, okay, if I group them, and then I tell it to make it, watch what happens. It takes thanks and puts it on one mat, and it puts the rectangle on another mat. And that's not what we want. We want it to write on the rectangle. Let's go back. In order to make that right, I need to attach it. That's the difference in group, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. If I attach it, now I say make it, it will be, those words will be attached to my rectangle. So that makes sense. That's why you have to use attach when you want to write something or you want to cut something specifically out of an area. You need to attach it to it. Any questions about that one? Attach and group are always confusing. Let me give...
so far.
Okay. Let's talk about contour now that it's an option. Do you see how I have the word thanks selected? And when I look down here in the bottom right, contour is now an option. This is not the best place to show you contour. Let me give you what you really need. Let's go to images. Let's pick out a bear. This is where you want to see contour. Contour has become a thing, but I'll tell you why. Back in the day, contour was... How is a bear not foundable? Oh, I'm in free. How you like not foundable? Back in the day, contour was too hard to use, therefore people didn't use it much. But now they've made it super simple and it's become a thing that people want to use. So let me show you. This is my favorite bear to teach contour with. Let me grab this bear and I'm going to insert images. So if you remember back in the day, Cricuts were really used for layering images where you'd cut this layer, this layer, this layer, and then you glue them on top of each other and they're super cute like that. That's what this bear is for. Notice in your layers panel how many layers this bear has, okay? It has a base layer, a brown eye and nose layer. It has this little beige layer for its ears and its mouth. It has this other layer for its body and then its clothes. Something that Cricut does, which is helpful, is it cuts contour lines. Those contour lines are so, let me ungroup this guy and show you. I'm going to just pull pieces apart so you can see it. Oh, my base layer is turned off. Okay. Those contour lines are to help you line things up. So, for example, do you have contour lines? No. This bear doesn't have any. For example, you might find that there's a little slice made in this ear to show you where to put a piece, like to line it up. Or let's say you don't want your bear to have a mouth at all. We can contour out lines all together. So with this guy selected, I'm going to go down here and click contour. And see all these lines that are showing? Over here in this side, if I click on one of these, that line is going to go away. So maybe I don't want my bear to have a smiley mouth. I just want him to just be there. I can click on his mouth and that cut now goes away. So when I close this out, notice that that mouth is gone. That's pretty cool, especially if maybe you want, let me see if these layer exactly. They do. You layer exactly too. All right, let me do this. Let's bring this guy in. Okay. See how this guy layers exactly on him like that and he's kind of matted in there? But let's say you didn't have that layer. Cricut gave you that, but let's say you didn't have it. But you wanted this guy to do that, to be a solid layer right here. All you do is go to contour and take all the lines out except his body. So I'm going to turn his ear off, his ear, his mouth. I think that's a mouth. I think that's a nose. If I do all of those, turn all those off, now I get that image. It's just another way of manipulating images to do what you want them to do. That's what contour does. Any questions on contour? You'll find a place you want to use it. It will happen. But right now, you may not be thinking of that. I use contour a lot because I don't like any extra cuts or anything just laying in the image. Let me see if I can find one that makes better sense. I thought that bear had those little lines. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, here's a good one. So it's kind of a good one. See how this bear has all these snowflakes in him? Let's say they didn't offer you this one right beside him that didn't. Let's say that wasn't available, but you wanted this outline shape of this bear. This is a really good example. Let's bring him in. So you didn't want all those cutouts. You just want a solid image. You can contour all those cutouts away. You can do it over here in this panel, or you can just click over here on each of the contours and get rid of them like this. And you can see them going away on him over there. This is a better way to describe it. I want to leave his mouth and his nose. You will find a place to use this. Like if something has a flower you don't want or something like that, you'll find a spot to use contour. Do you ever use contour, Amanda?
I do.
I used to not till they made it this easy. I'll tell y'all why it used to not be easy. Used to, you had to get your cursor arrow to touch that line perfectly to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And it was so hard to do. And the new way they've set it up for us is so much easier. So see, now I just have that bear shape. Okay? That'll come in handy somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be one of those things of the first time you'll think, how do I even do this?
How do
and
I
somebody
do it?
will say contour and you're like, that's it. I remember now.
All right, let's look at color sync. You're going to wonder what that is one day. So I'm going to bring in some shapes, just different shapes. And let's say that you want to cut these guys in 3 different colors. So I'm going to make them different colors just for the sake of the video. All right. And while you're designing, you want to see them in the color they're going to be. Like you want to see that on the screen. But when it's time to cut them, you don't want to have to load 3 mats. Okay? You want to load 1 mat and put your product that you're going to cut here, here, and here. If that makes sense, like you might have a square of red, a square of blue, and a square of gray that you want to run through one time and have these guys cut on the mat where they are. Here's what you do. You don't have to go back and click each one of these and change them to the exact same color. Here's what you do. You go to Color Sync and see how they're laid out over here in separate colors. You grab this little line and you drag it to the color you want it to be. It's just easier when you have a whole bunch of things on the mat and you just want to make them all one color instead of going and clicking and changing and clicking and changing. You can just drag them all up and make them one color. So now when I say make it, look what happens. They're all on the mat here for me. Here's something else you can do. We used to couldn't do this. You can move these images around before you go to cut them. So let's say you know you have a 4-inch piece of material that you're going to put a 4-inch piece here and a 4-inch piece here and a 4-inch piece here. The Cricut's going to cut, so you can put your gray and your blue and your red stuff on your mat and then lay it out where you want it to cut on your mat. Make sense? I think that one does make sense. It's pretty cool. Let me go back and make sure we've talked about all this before we start talking materials and things. I think I'll leave those there for a second. All right, so we've talked about, let's talk about a range. I did this in a video recently, if you saw it. This is a really cool feature. Let's say I want, for some reason, to cut 3 squares all perfectly separated from each other. I'm going to duplicate this square by going up here to the top right and click duplicate. I'm going to duplicate it. Let's do it 4 times for the heck of it. So let's say I want this square to live here for some reason, and I want this square to live here for some reason, and I want them to be lined up at the top exact. Here's what I'll do. This square is selected. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard and click this other square. I'm leaving those other 2 out. I don't want them yet. These guys, I'm going to align to the top. So I'm just going to find Align Top, and now they're lined up. But now I want these guys to be distributed in here between them. So now I'm going to select them all, okay? With them all selected, I'm going to go to Align, and look at this new option I get, Distribute. I want to distribute these guys horizontally in the middle there. So I'm going to click Distribute Horizontally. See how they're now in the middle where they should be, but they're not at the top? That's okay. Now we'll just run up here and click Align Top. And now those guys are perfectly distributed. This works really good for card makers. Like if you want to do a quilt card or if you want to do a cutout in some place, that's a cool way to do the distributed there. So I think that's a cool feature and I wanted to make sure I showed you. Text. Let's do text. All right, I'm making a card. I'm going to make a 6x6 card. So I'm going to run up here and I'm going to make it 6 inches square. There we go. There's my 6-inch card. I want to put the word thanks on the front. I'm going to click on text right here and I get a text box. I type the word thanks. Here's my word. I can then move the word up here to my card. I don't send a gray card very often. Let's change it to mint green. That's my color lately. So here's my word thanks and I want it to be right there. I can cut that word. I can print it on there. I can write it with a marker any way I want to do it on there. Okay. But let's look at my text options. I'm going to move these 2 pieces down a little bit because I want to show you what happens. When I click the word thanks, double click it. No, I don't have to double click. When I click the word thanks, see right here, I get my font, my style, my font size, my letter spacing, all that, those options. The first thing I can do is do this drop down. All these fonts come up.
Bigger rabbit hole than Upload ever thought about being.
Pictures are one thing. Fonts, you'll be here forever. You just will. But I want to show you how to narrow it down. The word all means it's going to show you all Cricut fonts and all the fonts on your computer system or your phone or your tablet, whatever you've got, okay? If I know I have a font that I love to use and it's my own font, I'm going to click on the word system and it's going to dive down into only the ones on my computer, okay? This computer doesn't have a whole lot of fonts on it because I never have loaded them on this computer, but you can see there's still a lot to choose from, okay? Now, if I only want to look at the ones Cricut has to offer, I can click on Cricut and it'll bring all the Cricut fonts in. So that's one way to narrow them down. Another way is to filter them. You can filter them by my fonts, multi-layer, single layer, and writing. This matters, okay? Some fonts are multi-layered. That means they have a background layer and a foreground layer, and you can put them on top of each other, okay? Single layer doesn't have that. It's just a font. writing style means this. Watch. If I wanted to write this on this card, right now, if I turn this, matter of fact, I'm just going to show you so you'll learn. If I turn this into a write image instead of a cut, if I come up here and I tell it to write, it's going to do that outline thing we talked about. I don't want that. Nobody wants that, right? They want it to look like script. So here's what you do. You head up to your fonts again. Let me get that there. Go to fonts. And I head over here to filter and I tell it writing style. Now, any of the fonts it shows me are going to have a writing style. That means even if it doesn't look like it, for example, this one, even though it doesn't look like a writing style, watch what happens. If I click it, it's going to change that image to have this kind of frilly writing look. All right. It's still not what I want. I want a scripty write. So let me show you. I'm going to do the drop down again. And now I'm going to look for one that looks like script. I saw one here. This one right here. Alex Maddox. This one is a charge, by the way. See, it's $6.99. That's a gorgeous font, and they're going to charge you for it. It's $6.99 for this one, and it's not in my access. You can tell that by looking over here in this little spot. Let's click it and look at it. So look at the writingness. Isn't it pretty now? You're like, no, it's all separate. Don't worry, I'm going to teach you that in a second. All right, see it? It's so much prettier because now it's not just box letters, it's script letter. But I want them closer together. They're too far apart. We just head up here to the top. I can change the size of the font here, but I can change the letter and line spacing here. Let's start with letter spacing. If I use this little down arrow and I drop these guys down, look what happens. It brings them together. As far as I want them to go, I can stop them or I can overlap them. That looks pretty close. I like that this S has now lined up, but I noticed that these letters here have not lined up to touching, but I want them to. So here I would head to advanced. In the ungrouped letters, click that, and now each of your letters are individual letters, okay? I'm going to now move them myself. I'm going to start with this A because the N and the K and the S look fine. I'm going to click the A and I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard and see if I can get away with that. I can't. Notice why. See how it overlapped? So what I'm going to do is grab it and just move it out. Don't worry if you go up and down. All you're trying to do is get that line where you want it. I'll show you why up and down doesn't matter in just a second. And I'm going to bring this one over to the A. We're almost there. Not quite. That's pretty close. And then we'll bring my T in. Now, here's why it didn't matter about the up and down. Because I'm just going to grab them. And I'm going to move this out of my way for a second. I'm just going to grab them and line them up. Align them at the bottom. See that? So now I know they're lined up straight. I don't really care if they didn't when I was moving them around. But remember, they're all individual letters. So we need to group them back together. So I'm going to go click group. Because we made them that way. Now, when I put them here, I can readjust them and see it writes so pretty. It'll be one big line. Let me move it back over here. It'll be one big writing with my marker line. I think that makes sense. Writing can sometimes, text can sometimes be difficult. Let's look at another cool feature that they've given us with the text that we didn't have before. I'm going to type the word thanks again. I'm going to bring this up here. And notice how we have this curve feature now? If I click on curve, I can actually make this font, this text curve just by dragging. Look at this. Isn't this cool? We didn't have this before. You can make a circle. You can make it circle the other way. I love this feature. Isn't that cool? You can even put it all together like we had it nice and close. Can you? No, I don't think you can. If you do it this way, you can. Let me bring it together this way. And then we can curve it. Once you ungroup it, you can't curve it anymore. Once you advance it. But see, look. Isn't that cute? But you can do this and then move them together. If you wanted them to be curved like that, you know, you could do that and then move them together. I love the font features. There's a lot more than we used to have. A lot more manipulation than before. The last thing you might want to know about is line spacing. That's the only other feature up there we didn't talk about. So let's do thank and you. I hit enter and typed you so it went underneath it. So now when we come up here, let me bring this where you guys can see it. There we go. Bring this up here. Now, see how far away that U is from thank? I don't really care for that. So if I come up here to line spacing, I can bring that guy up just by clicking that bottom button. You can also change the numbers, like if you just happen to know what you want. Let me just move that, move that, move that. And I can bring it as close as I want it. That's a cool feature. There we go. I had to do a bunch of those little clicks. Click, 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 click.
I was like, ooh.
Is she ever going to stop? Oh, Amanda does not like repeat sounds. She's not into that. All right, so there is that. Now let's talk about cutting. So this is what I'm going to make, a square. I would never use my Cricut to cut a square. Amanda will tell you that.
Yes.
We don't cut squares on the Cricut. We use the trimmer for that. But let's just say we're going to cut this. Let's, first off, let's save our work. If you're making a project and you get started, if you've done anything, save it. The first time you open it and put an image on the mat, save it. Okay? To save your project, head to the top, right up here at the top right, and click Save. Name your project. I'm going to call this Class Square. Notice that it's public, all right? That does not mean that anybody can go search for your images. What that means is you can share it, all right? That's all that means. If you make it public, I'm not going to be able to go out there and find it on Design Space or anything, but you will be able to share it as long as there's no uploaded images in it. This square I could share. I didn't upload that image, so click Save. Now, as you're making your project, save often. Like, you should put this on your computer. Save often. Cricut is an online software. Wi-Fi glitches. It just does. You might be working on a project for 27 minutes and then not save it and it glitch and you'll lose it. Save often. Set yourself a timer on your phone to remind you to save it. It's worth it. Do something. Okay? Let's go make it. All right. Remember, we talked about we can move things around on our mat. So if you wanted to cut a square, say you had a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock and you wanted to cut a square out right there, you could totally just move that square there and do that. That I might do.
Yeah, I want this image that's on that cardstock. I can see that.
That I might do. I would never cut just a square out. But let's go over here to the left. You see where we've got one mat. It tells us the material size that the Cricut thinks we should use. Maybe I don't want to use that size. I'm going to pull this guy back to this corner because if I don't, it might fuss at me. Maybe I don't want to use that size. Maybe I want to use an 8.5 by 11 letter size paper. I can change it right there and my image is still in there. If I tell it any size that's not appropriate, let me see if there is one. I don't think there is one. But let's say I tell it to do a size that image won't fit on. It'll warn me your image is too big. Okay. So let's do 8.5 by 11. If this was an image I wanted to put on a t-shirt, say it was words, you would want to remember to mirror that image if you're ironing it on a t-shirt. Does that make sense? Because you want the adhesive material to be on the back and then to still be legible. If you're interested, we'll do some vinyl classes. We've got a couple of different classes we do vinyl related, and we can do those as well. So I'm not going to mirror it. It won't change a thing for me today. All right. This is something cool that we use all the time because we make card kits. So we only have to design this card kit one time, but we might need 40 of them. I can head right up here to this area and change this to number 40 and hit apply. And now it will duplicate that thing 40 times. All right. Notice something it does do. We learned the hard way. It does change your material. You have to change it one time. So if I want to do this on 8.5 by 11, if I change it here, it will change it everywhere else for me. See that? But it does reset it to 12 by 12 if you do that when you apply it. Okay. So here's something cool. Let's say that we do this all the time. If I'm making a card kit and it has 150 pieces or whatever, if I do this, I can then scroll down here. See this little scroll? And if I had different colors, it would tell me how many mats I needed of each color, which we really like because we made like a poinsettia for one of our projects. I might have needed 50 sheets of red and 30 sheets of green. It tells me so I know. That's a cool feature.
Yeah,
I really like that. All right, material size. Let's say continue. I knew this was going to be an issue. I have not synced this. Oh, are you serious? Could you be this kind to me today? Does it recognize the maker right now? Do I have the maker turned on? It's looking for it. That's a good thing, right? All right, find her. Let's find her. It found her. Yay. Okay, I didn't have to sync it. That's good because I want to show y'all this. All right, let's say I want to cut, what do I want to cut that out of? I need a material. Let's see if denim's in here.
Okay.
Let's just see. All right. So these are favorites or most popular materials here. You'll probably find what you're looking for the most part. Medium cardstock, light cardstock, copy paper, vinyl, iron-on. Those are the ones that are most used. I'm going to browse materials right here. When I do this, I'm going to type in the word denim. What are the chances? Pretty good. There it is. So I've got denim, bonded denim, heavy fabrics like denim, heavy fabrics like bonded denim. Let's pick denim bonded and then say done. Now it's going to tell me what blade. Now remember, I'm using the maker here. What blade does it tell me to use? Oh, I haven't said. Okay. Make sure the mirror is turned on. It reminds you if you're going to put this as an iron on, you want to turn the mirror on. We don't need to do that. Do you see where this says pressure default? You can change this to be more pressure or less pressure. You might do a test with different fabrics that you're doing and see what you need. I usually change it to more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of that.
I do too.
I just do. All right, it says load tools. No tool required in clamp A, okay? Load the bonded fabric blade in B. That's just the regular blade. Notice that Cricut is going to cut this with the regular blade. It's not even asking me for the rotary blade for this. And then load your mat. And then if I say go, oh, I can't because I didn't load the mat. I don't have a mat to load. If I load the mat, I can then say go and it'll cut it. That's all there is to it. It'll give you a little wheel to tell you how long. It's super easy. Did you see all of those materials we could do?
Maymay, right there where it's showing your tools, if it did ask for the the more recent scoring tool, whatever, and you don't have it, you can hit edit. And
watch this. So see how I can click on each one of these? This is really cool. If I head over here to the side, to the right, see where it says edit tools? Like she was saying, maybe I don't want to use my regular blade. I want to use my rotary blade. I can change it here and click continue and it'll change that to the rotary. Cricut's going to suggest to you what it needs. All right. Many times you can override to what you want to use. If I were cutting denim, I'd override it every time. Look right here. Even though I've changed this to bonded denim, I can still click on it and go back. Maybe I hit the wrong button or something. I can still click and browse these materials and change it. Now, another thing you can do is, where's it at? Material settings, bottom left. See where that says material settings? You can do custom materials, okay? So let's say you have some rice paper that you want to cut, and if you use the rice paper setting, it's too heavy or it tears it. You can come and edit over here and change the cut pressure until you get it just right. Isn't that cool? And then you've basically customized your rice paper setting for you, and you can save that.
I didn't know any of that.
You can do, look, this thing's so cool. Holographic vinyl. Maybe you've got some that you use and it just doesn't cut right and you want to change it. You can come right in here. This is even better. You're going to love this. Ready for this? You can change your blade. Okay, so let's do it. Amanda has decided that if you're going to cut acetate, let me come out of that. You need to use the knife blade. The knife blade works great for acetate. So let's find acetate if it's on here. Now, it's not in alphabetical order, which does bother me. And I don't see a search. I think they're working on that. I did hear somebody say they had complained about it not having a search. Let's find it. Acetate. I'm sorry I'm going fast, but I feel like I can find it pretty fast. Well, that's full acetate. Let's use it. Full acetate. Let's edit it. It's telling me to use the fine point blade, but I don't want to use the fine point blade. Oh, it won't let me change it. Oh, I wanted to so bad. See the little drop right there? Maybe it will if I change the pressure. Nope, it won't let me. I was hoping I could change it. Maybe it's because it's full, it won't let me. But look, all of these things are editable. You see that? So play with that and see. That's pretty cool. Maybe if I do. Well, that's just the pressure. That's sad. I wanted to change it. But again, you can edit it from where Amanda showed you. But it's not always an option to use it depends on what blades it will let you use.
What actually come up as an example then, remember it was telling me to use the new scoring tool and I'm like, we don't have the new scoring tool and it won't let me change. And then, oh, wait a minute. You go over here and put the old one back in.
Because I didn't have the new scoring blade at the time we were using it. And she found that she could go change it to the old scoring blade, which is super cool. All right. Let's take questions. We've gone over a lot today. A lot. And we did it fast because we wanted to do it in 2 hours. Yes, I want to cancel this cut. Let's take questions. I want to see if I can see your chat again. How do I get to see it? I have to go here. Oh, it goes black for y'all if I do that. Let me change that so you're not seeing black screen. There we go. Transition. He'll be so proud of me. Jordan will be so proud of me. Look how well I did. All right. Let's do questions. I'm sure somebody's got a question of some sort.
While we're waiting on that, I did want to mention, according to the numbers, I believe everybody has logged in.
Yay.
So anybody that hasn't already told me they're here, if you would take a moment and put your name in the chat so I know you're here.
We're going to be giving you guys a 50% off coupon for your next online class. So if there's a class you would like to take, let us know. But Amanda is going to be doing a newsletter, and it's going to have that information in it. So if you want, we're going to use your email as your newsletter sign up, so you'll get that, and she'll let you know what classes are coming up. So if you take this class, you get 50% off your next class. And I think I want to do a print and either a vinyl class or a print and cut and marker class. I think those are really important, and those are some that you just can't do in 101. They're way more detailed than that, and we also would have to have more cameras, because I'm gonna have to have a vinyl camera and a heat press camera, to show you all that, which we can do, but it's a lot harder to do than just this setup. Does no one have questions? Surely you didn't learn every single thing. If you don't have any questions, let us know by just saying, I'm good. And that way we'll know everybody's got what they're looking for, and we won't close out too early. So just type in, I'm good. And we'll go from there.
And it is fine to email me with questions at a later point also.
Always. You took this class. You now have access to us. You can ask questions of any kind. Okay? As a matter of fact, it's better for you if you have questions to email us than put them in the comments of that video, because that video is an unlisted video and I have to actually go to it to see them. So if you have questions after this, email Amanda and we will help you. If it's a technical issue with your machine or something like that, make sure you contact Cricut. So Barbara says she's good. Let's just make sure everybody's good. I hope you learned something today. Mary says she's good. Something I hope you learned. Even Amanda learned something today. I learned something today.
Yeah.
I learned something today too. I learned that I can't change that blade like I thought I could. I wanted to. It looked like I could. It had the drop down by it. That would have been cool. So. Crafty's good. Yay. That's Molly. We're just being quiet now. I just talked for 2 straight hours.
And also, if you have suggestions for classes on a specific project, or, an area that we need to branch out in, we're open to suggestions on that also.
Sylvia, I would contact them. The first thing I would do, though, is, do you know how to clear your cookies or clear your cache? For a Mac, it's different than Windows. And if you don't know how, you can Google. Oh, Mary's brain is spinning. You can always come back and watch. There's a lot of information in Design Space 101. A lot. And you can always come back and watch your video. And you can always email us, okay? I just like to try to show y'all every little thing it can do as much as I can squeeze into 2 hours. I would contact Cricut about that. But they're going to tell you to clear your cache or clear your cookies first. Let's just do that. They're going to tell you to do that. They're going to tell you to power on and off your machine, your computer. Do all of that before you call them, so you can say, I've already done it. I've done all of that. Yay, Andrea. Okay, question for you about the class real quick, since I have a few minutes with you, if you can answer me. How was the setup? Was the computer good? Was the volume good? Did everything work smoothly for you? This is our first one doing it, and we want to know, because if there's anything we need to fix, let us know. Yes. A Cricut Expression. No, a Cricut Expression 2 does not work with Design Space. It used to work with Cricut Craft Room, but they did away with Cricut Craft Room because it really wasn't very functionable, I have to be honest. But Cricut Expressions don't. It has to be Explore or above. We try to explain that. It's hard for people to understand that. All right. Kathy has really enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Yay. Thank you. The setup was great. Thank you, Sylvia. We're trying this thing. You guys have asked for it, and it's really, the logistics are hard. We've been setting this up since Wednesday.
And for ones that come in late, just remember, keep this link. That's the only way to go back to this video, but you can use it as much as you want to.
If you lose it, we've got it. Amanda's got it in an email. She can send it to you. You know, we want you to be able to use this class over and over again. So, thank you. That's awesome. I like the window in window. I like seeing the tea holder. I like seeing the tea. Teacher and information. There was okay. Said it was great. Thank you. Okay, so you do like the picture in picture. That's Mary, right? Grandma Mary. My suggestion always is to get the newest technology you can afford. And for me, if I were telling you today, I would get the Maker. And if you can't afford the Maker, I get the Explorer Air 2. I wouldn't really go any further past that because the Explorer Air 2 is pretty much the same price as anything underneath it for the most part. I always suggest to buy new because I think you do better to have a warranty on it. And I always suggest go through Cricut.com because I think you get a really good deal. I think their bundle packages are the best price out there. Check Amazon and stuff like that, but I really have good luck there. I also want to share with you this. My friend Melody Lane has a coupon code, which is Melody Lane, just like that, all one word. And you can get 10% off and free shipping on a lot of items, not machines, but on like all the consumables, like your trimmers and your tools and your vinyls and things like that you want to use from Cricut. You can use that.
Okay, Miss Sylvia's asking, does it have to be posted first? I'm not sure what she's referring to.
So it does have to be. Yes. I think she's talking about the video. Once I close this out, it will process and post. And so within the next 15, 20 minutes, you should be able to access it again. Kathy, you were intimidated by your Explorer, but now good. Be very confident. You can do it. Again, any questions, we love it. Plus, when you ask us questions, it helps us to make this class better. I have a question. I think this class could either be 2 parts or it could be longer. I tried to finish it in 2 hours. In person, it's really hard to do this class in 2 hours. I was afraid to make it, but I think it could almost be 2 parts where we do a part and maybe take an intermission and come back. Like take a quick break and come back. I don't know. We'll talk about that. Molly thinks there's a Cricut Maker in her. Yeah, I agree. They're so good. All right, guys, it's almost 12. We finished in time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you use it in the future to help you guys make something. If you do make something, I want to see it. You know that. That's what our customer gallery is for. If you make something and it was based on this class, let us know that you did it because you learned something new. I love to see that kind of stuff. So, yay. Thanks, Deb. I appreciate you very much. All right, guys, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to head out. If you do have any more questions, you know how to find us. We love you. We hope you enjoyed the class. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.